It is now official. Soulframe's new update, Preludes 13, will launch on the 30th of January, which is on a Friday. This launch will take place either during the dev stream that will take place that day or shortly after the stream. We also got a new image for this update, and it shows the Virtue system, and of course, that will be the major focus for Preludes 13. The Virtue system is deeply intertwined with nearly every customization option in the game. Weapons leverage virtues to boost their damage output, while the pack mechanic integrates seamlessly with it to amplify those gains even further. And it doesn't stop there, so get this. CEO Steve just confirmed that the upcoming update will introduce armor attunements as well. I'm a little skeptical about how it'll all come together. Will armor only shine with specific virtue scaling, or even pair best with certain weapons? That said, these devs have been perfecting this formula for years at this point, so they've definitely got something clever up their sleeves. But before we get into all the juicy bits, I'd really appreciate it if you guys hit the like and subscribe button. We go over everything, such as patch notes, updates, guides, and pretty much everything else. And with that out the way, let's dive right in. So just letting all you completists out there know that the Thawtide event ends on the 30th, which funny enough is the date of the update, so don't forget to get all those limited time event rewards. So if we go back to this image, I'm not sure if these are rings to symbolize something or just for aesthetics. We also see this symbol, which could refer to the attunements on weapons and on your armor, but this could also be just for aesthetics. And speaking of armor, this update will introduce even more pieces, just like in previous patches. In particular, we might finally see this armor set teased a couple of months ago. It has a paladin vibe similar to the Bromius armor, but not as thick. However, we should still keep in mind though, this is just a concept render and is subject to change. And check out this other teaser, the Ode Bow. I have to say it looks incredible, like a sleek steampunk weapon straight out of a modern London fantasy with intricate gears and a gold and silver color accent which looks really good, so I'm hoping this makes it in the update as well. Okay, so let's get into the main focus of the new update. We will also go over some extra stuff that will either be added in this update or the next. So this update is described as a complete rework, as the CEO stated that a lot of work went into it. There should be new content, but this is still speculation. But I believe the majority of this update will focus on the rework, such as a complete overhaul to the UI and the virtue system. So what do I mean by UI rework? That's this section here. These small symbols will be changed to something more simple. For example, those tiny symbols. They will be getting a complete overhaul to something far simpler and more intuitive. Right now, jumping into this menu hits you with a wall of icons that don't clearly match what you want to tweak. For instance, finding your armor customization means hunting around since it's not obvious at a glance. This update will change all that. It'll be streamlined so you instantly spot exactly where your armor, weapons, and packs are, so there's no more scrolling over everything. They could even swap in clear labels instead of symbols for some extra polish, but this wasn't talked much about. However, Steve the CEO did speak a bit about this during his private stream on his own Twitch channel. Next is the virtue system. So I did speak about this before, but that's before we even heard about the armor getting an attunement as well. This changes a lot of things. So this is my opinion, but adding armor to this virtue system will make things more complicated, and I feel like it will limit what we can do, but again, I'm not a developer, and they obviously know more than me, so it will probably be a good thing. So their plan is to make things more simple by changing the manual point allocation to an automatic one. For example, changing your pact and upgrading the skill tree will increase virtue points, and in turn, whatever pact you equip will in turn decide what weapon you can hold. So if you allocate more of these points to, let's say, this virtue and go to your weapon, the weapon loses damage, but if you turn this up, your weapon gains damage because of this attunement. Now the devs want to make this automatic, so picture this. You choose, let's say, for example, the Ode Pact. Now these points here will be fixed and applied automatically, which means you can't use this weapon because the damage will be less. So while you can use that weapon, it loses all of the extra damage. This is what my skepticism is about, and on top of that, they will be adding armor attunement as well to this mix. So whatever their plan is, I just hope it doesn't limit us. Next is Cogah changes will very likely also be included because in their previous patch notes they said the current Cogah experience is on the first version of it, and I hope they make it even harder because this is the game's take on a hard mode. There was also talk about additions to the replay fables, so you can experience it again later if you want, and they always updating the story. So it will be nice to replay it and see all the additions they added to whatever quests in the future. Then we have player physics, such as mantling, jumping onto things, and of course swimming, because now it looks like you have a weight strapped to your leg when walking in the water. There will also be some kind of combat camera. I'm guessing this is referring to the target locking system because at the moment when you fight, You are locked onto someone in whichever direction your character is facing. Adding a manual target lock will make combat much easier. So the next things are stuff that were mentioned, but it could still come in another update. A new dynamic weather system such as rain, and more weather effects also. This sun will rise here and set on the opposite side. Mounts will be coming in 2026. It could be this update, but I highly doubt it. We will be getting more MMO elements. For example, Steve mentioned the souls of other players will be seen at high-density magic areas such as these respawn points. There's terrain changes, such as making a lot of these sloped areas more flat for easier combat. You will be able to siege these big ode structures. So basically, we can enter it, then do some objectives inside, and then get some rewards, similar to the siege fortresses, and that's the majority of the content, or at least the things we do know about. What I'd like to see is the console players come to the game this year. This would make the game's reach even better, which means more player feedback while the game is still in development. There was also some exciting buzz about the Wild Packs. These are the premium packs exclusive to the Founders Edition. Think of them as the prime versions of your standard packs. For example, in Warframe, you get your normal frame, but you also get the Prime version. The same concept will be the same in Soulframe as well, but instead of the pack being called a Prime version, it will be called a Wild version. This will be a variant of the base pack, so the abilities will kind of be the same, but it will deliver bigger, flashier attacks that put the regular version to shame. I'm hoping we see more of that in this new update, but the devs did state later we will be able to get the Wild versions by either buying them in store or, like Warframe, acquiring them through some type of grind, which I'm all here for. So, till we get those updates in just a couple of days' time, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next one.